Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Right, so in this lesson I want to kind of continue from what I was looking at in the Eddie Cochran techniques lesson, those kind of boogie bass line patterns. So, well, I was just seeing with the sort of start video with that train footage, that's something I use, and all the time, maybe less now than I used to, but when I was first practicing and I wanted to just go over something a lot of times and really kind of, for lack of a better word, get to know, a technique intimately. I'd put something like that. Most of the time it was kind of train footage, it's a bit of a cliche, but it kind of works, the whole rockabilly train thing. So let me just, talk about the first example. I think I just do a slide from the 12th fret of the 6th string. It's, just decorative. It's not really needed. So what, really we're starting with this kind of first thing. Very, typical sound we're all used to. So that's just the low E, open, 2nd fret of the 5th string. So I do the low E with a downstroke, then 2nd fret of the 5th string with an up. And then a little kind of, not even a quarter tone bend on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Well, to be honest, that can vary. That's what you want, a little bit of variation every time you play something like this. But it's not much of a bend, but it's just to give a little bit of a push. These things are always to try and give momentum. So do a downstroke on the open low E, upstroke on the second fret of the fifth string, a downstroke on this kind of small bend on the third fret of the sixth string, and then an upstroke again on the second fret of the fifth string. And the whole thing just repeats. It's basically just that. So really, what I want to kind of talk about this, which will apply to all of the examples, is that, that's, with an example like this, that's not it. There's so much, I'm just using, typically my sound, I've got the volume rolled down a little bit here. I'll often use a little bit of an overdriven sound, and then I'll back off on the volume just to clean it up a little. In fact, this is not too overdriven as it is. There's obviously some crunch in there. And for this, I like the kind of middle pickup, but again, with the rhythm or the bridge, there's so many different sounds, and that's kind of the idea with the footage, is that, I just put the train footage on a loop, pick a tempo, and I just like something. It can be much faster. Or a lot slower. It's important to try different things, but, with the footage, you'll often get a sense of a kind of a tempo based, maybe on the way the train's moving and things like that. So, the whole idea is actually looking at what can we do with something like that. And I try to kind of let, my, I don't want to say emotional responses to what I'm watching kind of dictate, my attack, what the dynamics of what I'm playing. So even something simple like this. So first I'll just kind of increase, the intensity of how I'm picking. I'm not picking hard to begin with. It's clean, and but it's not hard. So I'll sort of make it more intense. Then maybe mute it a little more, move along the string so we can see sort of some of the tones just on the string, and then, do the same kind of increase and decrease in, dynamics. Or even just picking a lot softer, a bit more muted. So just put the video on a loop, and even so, practice all of these examples just, for a couple of minutes on their own, and just really see what you can. That's the idea, that these things are kind of so simple. Just let your eye, don't look at what you're playing. It's completely unnecessary. You've got your muscle memory to do all that, and let your hands develop a sense of kind of sort of awareness of where they should be, and just focus on the footage. Just let your hands and how you're receiving that footage just kind of dictate, the dynamics of how you want to play that. So, our kind of second example, which is more the traditional. So, open low E, second fret fifth string, we'll play that 2 times, and then open low E, fourth fret fifth string, we'll play that 2 times. We go back to the first part, play that once, and then open low E, then the little bend again on the third fret, sixth string, and then both of those with a downstroke, and then an upstroke on the fifth fret of the second fret of the fifth string. And everything that we did to the first example, we can do to this regarding volume, dynamics, attack, where we play on the string. Just playing over and over that, and not letting your kind of eyes, dictate how it sounds by looking at it. There's no need for that. It just let your, sense of, that's why I keep talking about this video thing. It just works so well for me in the past to just develop a sense of, shifting through different sort of shades of, of dynamics and things like that. So the kind of third example we can move into is like from the Eddie Cochran example, where we now kind of harmonise the last idea. So start and basically playing just 4 strings. So there's an E chord, and basically just the first 4 strings, the open 6th, 2nd fret on the 5th and 4th strings, and 1st fret on the 3rd string. And we just start by playing that chord, and then we'll sort of, alternating between the chord shapes, we'll play like the open low E in between that. So then we move to that second shape, which is the 4th fret on the 5th string, 2nd fret on the 4th and 3rd strings. And the muted, we get that kind of, a nice sort of echo from that. I think every sort of, the end of every bar, every 2 bars. Just before we start the whole thing again, I think on an upstroke, take my fingers off and let's think. Or maybe I do it every bar. And those kind of messy noises with those open strings, they don't matter, because we'll be instantly kind of putting our fingers back onto the E and coming back in with our downstroke. And those open strings are just kind of round the, sometimes I might catch others by accident, but really the 3rd, 4th and 5th strings, where we'll be sort of hammering on, the kind of the main meat of the chord. And even I'm sort of not playing with my right hand here, but just there's always a kind of a bounce. I'm not fretting hard at all. I'm letting my hand, just kind of bounce from. So and the I think the last example, similar to the second. So we'll start so 2 times with this first position, open low E, 2nd fret 5th string 2 times, then open low E, 4th fret 5th string 2 times, and like before, just once on the open low E, 2nd fret 5th string, and then we do the bend. Now this time on the upstroke, instead of playing the 2nd fret 5th string, we'll kind of catch the, really the first 3 strings, I guess, or maybe the 3rd string rings, just as a consequence of catching the first 2. Again, it's similar to the previous example, where we'll come in on an upstroke, and then on our next downbeat, we'll sort of start the pattern again. So, actually sort of landing on the E, and that's kind of my you know, where we do two of this sort of first part, where I'm landing on this E is really one of those two, if that makes sense. So although I might start like this. And again, all the previous sort of and just with those four ideas, kind of mixing them up and you know, just stick the video on a loop, you know, and just play through that, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. Don't even think, just kind of react dynamically to, you know, as you see the footage, just try kind of shift through the patterns. So yeah, give that a try and really sort of, you know, give it a go. Just learn them, get them under your fingers, and then don't even, you know, worry about sort of watching what you're doing. Really just let your hands kind of respond to how you know, what you're feeling by watching the footage. And just keep doing that, you know, a little bit every day, just 2 minutes, just warm up with something like this. And you'll definitely start to see and feel some sort of improvement just in the way you kind of think about dynamics and what can be done to maximise just the way you can, you know, put across and express sort of simple ideas. You know, just as we'll all sort of use, you know, the same kind of words with each other. Somebody will use, you know, kind of simple words, but just in a more interesting, dynamic way. So just think if you're playing like that, it's not just, you know, the bare bones notes. Even with something so simple, you can put across something with, you know, momentum and energy, and kind of get people, you know, to feel it, basically. Right, so yeah, we're going to start getting into some of these more boogie bass lines because, you know, I kind of think of these in like the kind of rhythm category, but it's not. I mean, you know, rhythm, there's lead. Half the time it's basically the same thing. But these are great for just getting a sense of rhythm. Don't even worry about backing tracks. Just get your, you know, your left. If you're right-handed, get your left foot tapping, and play along to that, and just sort of start creating your own internal sense of, you know, a rhythm and playing along to that. Right, okay, so enough blabbering. So have fun, take care, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.